It's so critical. Reviews are something that Google considers to be extremely important in how they decide which local businesses they feature for a search query and which they don't.
For this core update, I think every core update coming has been as well.
Yeah,
always been there.
it's always going to be. It's the age-old thing of, would you recommend that place? Yes, okay, cool. That place is going to get more visitors as a result of that.
Exactly.
The internet's just serving that in a different way. It's super, super important. Do that absolutely if you can. And what's happened as well is that review freshness and app consistency has mattered more than ever. So review freshness being the number of new reviews that are coming in for a business. Naturally, that is quite important.
Just go from there and give you some insights about how you can increase your local SEO rankings after this Google update, because Google likes to update and we like to try and catch them out. Hi everyone, welcome to this episode of Inside Digital. I'm here with Nick, our project lead. We're going to talk about Google's most recent core update and how it affects local SEO. So Nick, he's big in SEO, and we're going to sort of go through what happened and what you can do next. And just go from there and give you some insights about how you can increase your local SEO rankings after this Google update, because Google likes to update and we like to try and catch them out. Make ourselves better in their eyes. So there we are. So what happened, Nick?
It's a good question to summarize like what actually has happened, because I think a lot of people hear about algorithm updates and updates to the core stuff, and they begin to panic because they immediately think, oh my god, everything's changed. Everything I'm doing needs to change. What's working is now not going to work, and that's not really the case. With these updates we see that certain things get more weighting and certain things become a little bit more important, but the genuine principles of how you are visible in a local area always kind of remain the same. But specifically, so in this update, Google has given more weight to proximity, Google Business Profile activity, and local relevance. It's a bit of an odd one, I think, considering that Google have stopped schools from being able to have their reviews on Google Business Profile. What are schools supposed to do? But they've given more weight to proximity, those local signals. And what's interesting about that is that some of this you can't really track too much as a business owner. The actual in-store visits, the reviews in a local area, stuff like that. Obviously they happen, but you don't have the measurement for that, so it can be a little bit difficult to assess the impact of that. But that thing is now being weighted a bit more. So we'll talk a little bit about how you can improve, your Google Business Profile and stuff like that, and help with that local relevance in a second. So what else has happened? So dormant listings and weak local content has suffered as a result of that. I think that's probably a net positive, really. I think old and outdated information about your business, your business location and stuff like that, not being weighted as highly as a good thing, because we don't need incorrect information on the internet. It's old news. We've moved past that. And weak local content suffering. So I think that will affect, again, I'm going to use schools as an example, but it's not just schools. Those will be really outdated pieces of content that schools have made around, old open days, old activity, curricular stuff that Google rightly has understood. It doesn't really need any weighting or any kind of relevance in search, because that stuff's just so outdated and it's not relevant to people anymore. And what's happened as well is that review freshness and app consistency has mattered more than ever. So review freshness being the number of new reviews that are coming in for a business. Naturally, that is quite important. You think, if you were ordering food in a local area and there had not been any reviews in the last 12 months, you'd go, whoa, why?
It's always a red flag, isn't it?
Because you think, was this place even still open? Who's still going? True. Why aren't they going? So that review freshness, I think, is understandable and makes sense. And
it's proving to Google that you're still real, local, and real people are looking at you and engaging with you.
Because that's what you want to know, really. It's that trust and credibility.
Yeah.
And then with the NAP consistency, that comes back to those dormant listings that I was just mentioning, making sure if you're featuring them on local directories or stuff like that, or in local forums that the information around what your business name is, what your location is, what the address is, and like your phone number and stuff like that is up to date, is important as well. So if we just like take those and consider, what can you do next? The main thing being your Google Business Profile. Now, for those of you who don't actually know what that is, when you go onto Google, you search for the name of a business or your own business, and that little profile on the right, or right being this side, I don't know if this flips it, on the right of the Google search about the business, it's got some images, the location, reviews, service, etc., etc. That is your Google Business Profile. Chances are, if you've got one set up, you would have verified that already, and you've probably used it before if you know about it. But if you don't have one, do set one up. It's really, really important.
Yeah, right.
With that is your way of getting your foot, kind of colloquially speaking, your foot in the door with your customers before they even need to go to your website. And that also has an impact on those local map listings as well. So say if someone ordered, I don't know, I'm going to use a food analogy because obviously I love food. If I searched for Indian takeaway in Portsmouth, that's where you'll see those, like the dots on the map and the listing of those restaurants in an area as well.
So they all have Google Business Profiles?
Not necessarily. Yeah, yes, primarily, yeah. But having a better Google Business Profile impacts as well. So it's really important to optimize those. So in terms of like keeping your Google Business Profile as relevant as possible, obviously the first thing to do is just work on the branding of it. Make sure your logo's on there, make sure you've got good images of what it is you're doing. If you're a school, you want the best photos you've possibly got of the school, of your students, where safe and applicable to do so. Sure. Obviously school GDPR is quite important.
Yes.
But if you're if you're in the food industry, good images of your food. If you're selling local commerce, like really good product images within that, as well as
it's inside and outside of the building as well.
Exactly. Yeah. You have to do that as a requirement.
Yes. Yeah.
But just making sure that is all good. But in terms of communicating to Google that your business is still operational and that you are staying on top of things and that you're functioning and you're thriving, it's making sure that you're posting things frequently enough to those. So consider, weekly post updates for stuff that's going on. If you've got new product launches, just make an update on Google Business Profile about that. Link people to your website. Use the UTM tags within your links as well, bonus points. Responds to reviews as well. That's a really good thing, and that's going to matter even more with the review freshness that's now getting weighted a little bit higher in this core update.
Yeah, it shows that you're active as well.
It shows that you care, and people respond so well to that. I think what's really reassuring, I think, as well from a consumer point of view, is when you see a business's reviews, and even the negative ones they're replying in depth to, being really good about it. It just sends the right impression, but it also is really beneficial from an SEO standpoint as well. So just work at ways of keeping that fresh. Like I said, post updates, upload new photos to that, respond to your reviews, kind of treat it as another social media platform in a way. Don't need to go full beans with that, with so much posting and like influencer style content on that, but just be active, because it really does make a difference in this. And the clients we work with as well, optimizing that and keeping that fresh on their behalf has a net positive on their overall rankings as well. So
that's good.
It's an easy and cost-free solution to gain visibility, I'd say, as is the case with, as you should be doing anyway, and regardless of any kind of core update or algorithm update, is to update or create unique local landing pages as well. So if let's say you're a plumber in a local area, making sure that you've got landing pages that specifically mention the areas that you serve, like that you cover, that you've got landing pages for specific services and stuff like that, all with useful content on them as well is really important, I think.
Yeah, I mean, these are all the things that the core update's looking for, isn't it? Google's looking for, and sort of crawling your website, I guess, to find. Yeah. So if it's not there, they're not going to look at you. Yeah. They'll look at the next person that is doing it. So,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And with that, when you're creating, tailored landing pages for your different services, maybe for like each location, if that's relevant to you, try and include the wording on that is going to directly correlate with how people are trying to find you. So if you use tools like Google Search Console, for instance, and you can see the queries that people are using to find you on your site, adding those onto the page where it's seamless to do so and doesn't feel forced is actually really beneficial as well. And put yourself in I sound like a broken record when I say this, put yourself in the shoes of the consumer and think about how they would want to find your product. What's the terminology? Is the terminology the same on your site? Are you listing a service under the name of something that's considered or known to many people as being called something entirely different? That sounds quite basic, but it's quite a common trip up, I find, as well. So it all comes back to just making sure that what you've got is relevant to your audience and gives your customer the reassurance that once they land on the page, they're in the right place for it, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's an easier conversion for them, or easier journey for them in a way.
Yeah, exactly that, yeah. And a big one that can be a little bit hard to do and a little bit awkward because we're British and we don't like asking for it, but asking your happy customers for recent reviews.
Yeah, that's really
my God, this is one of the most powerful things you can do.
Yeah, if they're already in the mindset and happy enough to do so, they will do it.
They will. People respond well to that. If you've given a really good service and you just ask them to write your review, the chances are they probably will. Mm-hmm. And there's ways in which you can make that as frictionless as possible as well. So I'm sure people watching this probably already do this, but just having those review cards with QR codes that people can scan after a service to do that's good. Or in store, a really good one is having the either a QR code that you can scan, or are they RFID cards? That's the name for them, where someone can tap their phone on it and it will open up the Google review immediately there and then. If you've got a good rapport with your customers and you're comfortable doing that, it's so important. The reviews are
it's also a good thing for social posting as well. Not straight away after happy customer, but you can, because that QR code goes to a link. That link can be in a social post as well. And just if you have worked with us before, we'd love to hear from you, and just have the link, and then it's they're already on their phone or laptop, ready to press it, and then someone can review from there and then. So that's a good one too.
It's so critical. Reviews are something that Google considers to be extremely important in how they decide which local businesses they feature for a search query and which they don't.
For this core update, I think every core update coming has been as well.
Yeah,
it's always been there.
It's always going to be. It's the age-old thing of, would you recommend that place? Yes, okay, cool. That place is going to get more visitors as a result of that. Exactly. The internet's just serving that in a different way. Yeah. Super, super important. Do that absolutely if you can. And then kind of my last main recommendation for this, and I'll give these recommendations for things that businesses of all sizes can do and should do, really, is to use a citation checker. Now, a lot of people won't exactly know what this is. So citations are listings on the internet that display that NAP information, that business name, address and phone number and stuff like that. Think of it as the online yellow pages, pretty much. Get those listed on other places that you can. Now, the value of this is sometimes disputed in the SEO world, because sometimes a lot of those online directories won't have the most traffic to them, but they do build brand mentions, and they do signal to Google that your business exists, other places are linking to it, and there is value and credibility there. Now, those individual links, getting a little bit technical here, those individual links might not be do follow links, so they might not assign ranking value to them. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here, but so that we can't really say that you're getting a credible backlink from it, but it really helps just overall visibility, we find. When we do that on behalf of clients and for ourselves, even as an agency, getting listed in more locations has an impact on visibility. And a citation checker can also clean up outdated NAP information on other directories that you might have forgotten about as well, which is really useful. I think our recommendations for that would be Bright Local is a good one. They're a Brighton-based business. Not affiliated with Bright Local, by the way. It's just our personal recommendation. The citation checker and service does cost, but it's the cost versus the gain is quite minimal. I think it's a very fair price, and they'll handle everything for you, which is good. Your other kind of big label marketing solutions do have that as well, like SEMrush and Ahrefs. They do have that, but obviously that coincides with the costs of having SEMrush and Ahrefs anyway, which if you're a small business is a big cost.
Would you say
they are expensive?
If you didn't know these tools, but you went on to them, could you, as a basic user, use them? Or,
I think they do a good job of outlining what it actually is, and you, with those tools, you kind of just provide your business information and they take care of the rest. You know, you decide how many directories you'd want to be listed on, they'll give you the cost, and then they just handle it on your behalf and give you the logins to those platforms afterwards. So it's pretty it's a really pain-free experience, I say. It's just, unlike my other recommendations, there is an associated cost. But it's not huge, so I'd recommend that. SEMrush is obviously a good one, but SEMrush is, like I said, so expensive.
That's it. It's the higher player, isn't it? That you need to use but don't need to use at the same time.
That's
the
it.
ones you can.
So, We'd always encourage people to take full advantage of the free stuff that's out there before you buy something like SEMrush or Ahrefs, because as good as they are, you know, £200 or £300 a month is a lot. For
unless you're
a
deep
lot of
diving
businesses
every single day almost into it. It's I don't know if it's worth it for you. So you got to weigh it out, haven't you, really?
Totally, And that like citation checker on those platforms would be another paid bolt-on as well. So
true.
We love it.
And these guys as well, these tools are all learning the algo as well. They're all learning the different core updates that happen, and they have no idea what's coming next. It's always a different market for them at the same time as you. So we're all learning at the same pace, really.
Exactly that. So just kind of recap those quick tips then. So if you're not already doing it, manage your Google Business Profile and be more frequent in what you do to update that. You know, respond to reviews, post more updates, post good imagery, treat it like another social media platform, but obviously don't take the influencer style approach with that. Update or create your local landing pages. You know, make sure you've got terms and wording in there that really, really scream and shout about how you serve these local areas. You know, use the area names and stuff like that. Use like the locations within that. You know, really signal that you are that local business. Ask for happy reviews. Ask for happy reviews. Ask for happy reviews are great. Don't ask for negative reviews, obviously. Get reviews from your customers. You know, 5-star reviews are so important, so important. And then finally, you know, use a citation checker. Clean up those listings in local online directories, and to make sure that any outdated information about the business that might be out there, such as an incorrect business address, are gone. Because as we've seen, Google are now cracking down on that now more than ever. So being on top of all of that, making sure that the information is as updated and up to date as possible is so important.
And just on a final note as well, these aren't just quick fixes. Like, this is longevity stuff as well.
Exactly.
It's like the next algorithm update is going to change things. But these are very important and should always be top of your mind as well when you're owning a business for local SEO. So that's helpful.
Exactly.
Thanks, Nick.
But that'll be it for me. So thanks for tuning in.
Nice one.
See you next time.
Thanks, boys.